glass waited for their knights in crumbling castles. Slimy moats and thorn bushes locked the maids inside the cold stone walls. Then, with a glint of shiny armor, the damsel would ride off with her prince to some never-never-land. And of course, they lived happily ever after. The old storytellers rarely elaborate on this happily ever after business. Now, this modern myth begins one rainy afternoon on Irwin Street. It always rains on my little box ranch. My son was arguing with the coat hangers down the hall, and baby Claire fussed dejectedly. Crash, bang! 4-year-old Eric thrashed in the closet. You can do it yourself, I shouted, exasperated with the 100th replay of the old coat fight. Mom, it won't stay up. It won't ever work. Oh, if a man's home is his castle, I must be the gargoyle. I certainly don't feel like a lady. The phone rang, bringing the commotion to a crescendo. Claire howled as coats and hangers sailed overhead. Answer the phone, and I'll take care of the baby. Thanks, I said, relieved at the sudden silence. My hand cupped on the receiver, I caught my son's saucer-eyed stare. Who are you? I demanded. I scrutinized the stranger as she diapered my baby. She was a woman, about my size and my age. Her glistening green coat was randomly decorated with yellow spots. Dame Dragon, at your service. Content, snuggled in a clean jumpsuit, Claire played with the dragon's tail. I liked her. The oddity or absurdity would take some getting used to, but I liked her. A pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Elizabeth Ann. She helped herself to a cup of coffee and motioned that I do the same. Call me Beth. Everyone does. Beth? The dragon grinned. Well, I am not everyone. Do you have a name that Dame Dragon could use? No, I'm just Beth. Mrs. Paulnoss, Mommy to Eric and Claire. Beth who cooks and Beth who cleans and picks up toys. Faded as old blue jeans, Beth. So, Dame Dragon finished her coffee. What do you want to do today, Mrs. Elizabeth Ann? Something different, but, I have to go shopping for dinner. The dragon's smile flickered for an instant. Well, let's do our duty. And she glided around the kitchen, gathering diapers, car keys, and babies. An adventure at the market awaits. A reporter seized my shopping cart as I turned down the frozen food aisle. TVU with eyewitness news! Cameras zoomed in. The broccoli and I wilted under the intense strobe lights. A dragon in the store? 418 housewives ran to see a dragon. The ladies crowded round. They were curious. They were angry. They were rude. I had to leave my dog in the car, one hissed. Officer Beck argued with the mayor. Is shopping illegal? If I arrest one shopping dragon, shouldn't I arrest all 418 shopping housewives? Go back to your groceries, Beck ordered the ladies. The housewives paid him no heed. Doesn't look like we'll be done before supper, the dragon whispered. Let's try something different. Taking the grocery list, Dame Dragon sang out, Attention, butter! Wake up, bread! Soup and olives and spools of thread. An arc of milk cartons soared over the aisle. Butter boxes glinted midair between the strobe lights. Housewives scattered in terror. The mixed nuts and a spray of salt burst in cascades from their bins. Not too close to the lights, Dame Dragon warned the bread. We don't want toast. Meanwhile, the soup and Spanish olives danced with the housewares boogie band. The computer register chirped out the total as the items I needed glided over the checkout counter. Suddenly, bags swarmed overhead, a deafening rustle of brown wings beating. The double duties herded cans, while the little sacks directed the milk back to its cool, quiet roost. A swoosh of paper, the last twitter from the snacks. The cash register's red eyes glowed in the stunned silence. $27.34. Have a nice day. Come along, Dame Dragon called as she loaded my groceries into the car. Then, with a wink and a smile, Dame Dragon was gone. Well, dinner wasn't ready when Paul came home from work, and I had some explaining to do. I told him that a friend had taken us shopping. I mentioned the wilted broccoli, the 418 frenzied housewives, and the paper bag finale. Paul chuckled as he phoned Squire Pizzeria. Did you have a good time shopping? Yes, I replied. It was different. It's not supposed to rain on Christmas. But here it was, December 24th, and rain, cold rain, drenched the earth. It was cold and gray inside, too. No presents were hidden in the closet, waiting to be wrapped. And no wreath on the door to say, welcome. No Christmas tree. There was no money to buy Christmas this year. Eric and Claire hurried to bed after supper. They giggled and wiggled and tried to sleep so that Christmas would come faster. Where is the magic to fill the stockings of two good children? I wish we could get them something, I began quietly. Well, it just didn't work out that way, Paul answered. Maybe, he sighed, just maybe it would be good to learn that Christmas isn't expensive toys and presents. Paul said good night and left the kitchen. Christmas is presents, at least for me. I grew up in a family of 7, and our Christmases were always widescreen. The pile of gifts filled up 2 couches and sprawled across the living room. After these were opened, there was always one more when Grandma came over for dinner. Christmas was shiny new bikes, a train that puffed real smoke, and dolls that talked. My big brother got a chemistry set with test tubes and a microscope. Aunt Carrie gave Meg and me some lipstick, but Mom said that we were too young to wear it. Every year, my dad hid his gift to Mom in the Christmas tree, a plain little box tied to a branch. Mom would sit in her chair, surrounded by mounds of torn wrapping paper, and open this present last. After she cried, kissed my father, and pinned the golden gift on her robe, we knew that it was time for Christmas breakfast. That was Christmas to me. But I couldn't give any of this to Eric and Claire. Not one gift to fill their expectant stockings. Well, time to try something different, a familiar voice said. I turned around and shouted for joy, Dame Dragon! Noel, she grinned. Good to see you, Mrs. Elizabeth Ann. But why so sad? Why, it's Christmas. Before I could cry and complain that I couldn't buy Christmas presents, Dame Dragon handed me an apron. Back in the Middle Ages, the dragon began, long, long ago, when I was growing up, people didn't buy Christmas. There were very few cities and not many stores. Christmas was something that you made. Dame Dragon poked around the cupboards and drawers, gathering all sorts of stuff. Why, you have all you need right here, she said joyously. Except time, I grumbled. It's already late and I'm tired. Anger flashed like fire from Dame Dragon's eyes. She turned away for a moment and looked out at the rain. Then she placed her hand on my shoulder and made me look into her wise old face. You will have all the time you'll ever need, she said. Now, let's get to work. The warm smell of sugar cookies soon filled the kitchen. Brownies and cupcakes were waiting for their turn in the oven. We laughed and we told stories, sang carols, and Yule tidings as we poked popcorn on a string. Buttons and felt, paper and paint, that's the stuff that makes up treasures. Clothespins can be a marching band, an empty oatmeal box, a train. Dame Dragon taught me the magic of flour and salt. Such a simple dough, and so easy to shape into ornaments. Christmas came. It wouldn't be light for hours, but somehow, without looking at the clock, I knew that it was Christmas. While I was cooking and sewing and making, Christmas came to me. My heart soared gently like the snowflakes softly drifting outside. Dame Dragon stuffed the stockings with goodies while I wrapped the presents in our very own handmade glitter paper. We still don't have a tree, I began, but I guess it doesn't matter. The dragon motioned me to silence. Down the hallway, I heard Eric and Claire giggling. Go back to bed, Paul called out. It's too early for Christmas. Quick, said the dragon. Grab the ornaments and meet me in the living room. A tall, beautiful evergreen tree stood by the living room window. The boughs were full and smelled of pine. "Dame Dragon?" I looked in awe. The tree winked and smiled at me. "Hurry," she whispered. "Dress me quickly. Eric and Claire are waiting for Christmas." Paul was the first one up. "Oh, you didn't come to bed," he yawned. "Oh, where'd you get the Christmas tree?" Paul's like that, very quiet and calm, even when the most exciting things happen. "This tree is a gift from a friend," I answered. The tinfoil star glistened, and the branches gently shook with laughter. We had a beautiful Christmas. Eric and Claire made mountains of wrapping paper. There was more than enough for everyone. Tied to one branch, in a plain old envelope, was a special gift for me. It was a poem from Paul, written with love. I cried when I opened it, and everyone knew it was time for Christmas breakfast. Grandma and Grandpa drove all the way from Michigan, bringing the holiday feast. So much love and sharing. We agreed it was the bestest Christmas ever. Snow fell, and Christmas passed. There was a blizzard on New Year's, but most of it melted in a couple of days. The neighbors' trees were brown and empty, just waiting by the curb for the trash truck. But our tree remained green and vibrant throughout the frozen months. After the spring thaw, we took down the handmade ornaments and fed the popcorn to the birds. "Is it time to burn the tree?" Eric asked. "Well, that's what we usually do," Paul said. Paul gazed at the tree, so green and fresh. "Your friend gave us a special gift," he said. Grasping the trunk carefully, Paul pulled the tree outside. "Dame Dragon! Oh, wait! I panicked. Do we have to burn it?" Paul looked at me closely and then shrugged. "Well, we always burn the Christmas tree. It's our tradition. Now, step back. These old evergreens burn pretty fast." Paul struck a match and lit the bottom branches. Flames leaped up in a roaring blaze. "Dame Dragon!" I turned away and I cried. A green pine-scented cloud rose from the burning wood. "Mommy!" Eric shouted. "Look at the smoke!" I looked, and then I stared. Can a cloud wink and smile? "Hello, Mrs. Elizabeth Ann," Dame Dragon whispered softer than the wind. "Have you been crying?" The dragon was surprised. "Hush now and listen. Flames can't hurt me," she laughed. "I'm a fire-breathing dragon." She winked again, and then she disappeared. I wiped my tears and watched the fire crack and whistle. Holding hands, Paul, Eric, Claire, and I walked back to the house. Someday, Dame Dragon will be back. She will smile and say, "Let's try something different." This year, Christmas was special with glitter paper and sugar cookies and a poem tied to a tree. Love is also a gift, a handmade gift which is not truly expressed until it is given.